I want to welcome you all to the daily co-working session with SpeakerHub. We do this Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. We usually go for about an hour or until my next meeting. So if we end up going into overtime, we usually just stay here. It's used as a time to offer support, education, customer support, and just co-working. Some people hop on and all they do is send pictures in the background. They never comment, they never come on camera. They just use this as their hour of getting work done. So we call it co-working, just as if we were in a live co-working uh, portal someplace in the US, or Regis or WeWork. So this is kind of like we pitch instead of we work. So people come on here to send their pitches and it's available to anybody. You don't have to be a paid SpeakerHub customer. All you got to do is show up, and we will help you to get a bit further down the road of your speaker journey. So I know there are several people here that are new. I see AJ just joined, and then Kevin has been a customer of ours for, I think, 3 years or so. So it's always good to see Kevin. This is what we do. I see Nicole is here also. She's one of our SpeakerHub ambassadors. SpeakerHub sponsors about 15 speakers that we know and trust, and they believe in what we do. So we kind of treat them like Nike athletes, as we like to say. They're some of the top speakers in the world that always have great input, but they are killing it from the stage. So I'm glad to see Nicole has joined us today. I don't know if she'll share anything, but I know she probably has a customer support question because she always is.
No.
She's always asking me about customer support issues with her and her team. So it's good to see you all. Any questions or booking reports? Anybody got booked? I know Daryl. Daryl is going to keep showing up. I'm going to tell you why Daryl shows up. Daryl's going to keep showing up because every day for the last 4 days after the meeting, she sends me a text message saying, I got booked again. And I'm like, yeah. So she thinks this meeting is good luck for bookings. And I believe it too. I think it's a good luck for bookings because hard work is usually the catalyst for good luck. And as long as she keeps coming on and sending her pictures every day, I'm almost certain that she'll continually get booked after these meetings. So, Corey, good to see you. Huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Corey, good to see you. AJ, if you want to introduce yourself and tell people what you do, this is the first time you've been on one of our calls. AJ has been a customer of ours since April of 2020. He was one of the first people to buy one of our lifetime accounts way back then. So, AJ, if you want to tell people about what you do.
What's going on? AJ Vassar. I live in Medellin, Colombia as well. I put on international retreats, and I partner with other people to help them put on their first international retreats as well. So PitchDB has been very helpful with helping me do that.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, AJ's a speaker. He works with speakers. A lot of speakers are moving in the coaching world, in which I believe they should. And AJ helps them, even if you don't have a large audience, 15 people, you can still have a really powerful event. Yeah, Kevin, this is your first time on our daily meeting. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself? Kevin has been coming to our meetings for, I don't know, 2 years or so. And
right.
he was a faithful Wednesday when we used to only do it on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
So good to see you, Kevin. If you want to tell us about what you do.
Well, I formerly spoke about the issues between Blacks and the police, trying to get a lot more peace. And while I still will speak about that, I am currently pivoting into a journaling, more motivational, and journaling for success is my platform right now. And that's where I'm at. I'm changing my website, changing my LinkedIn, I'm changing it up.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today because I've heard that several times over the last few days, and I want to caution speakers with doing that, and I'll tell you why. You'll understand in a moment. Nicole, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? I know you popped in and off. I didn't want to be rude. I know this is maybe the first or second time. I don't know if you introduced yourself the last time, or whenever you come back. If you hop back on camera, if you want to tell people about what you do, that'll be great. So let's talk about this. I want to talk a bit about expansion because I hear pivot. Pivot means abandonment. I'm going to turn 180 degrees a different direction and I'm going to abandon what I was doing before. But I think that that's a bad move because you're leaving your expertise, right? And really, what you want to do is to expand your topics. You shouldn't pivot away from something that was working. You should expand and add something to it. So, a great example of this would be Kevin. I'm going to ask you a quick question. What is McDonald's? What do they sell?
Hamburgers, fries.
Hamburgers, right? But if I pulled up the McDonald's menu, they have more breakfast items than they do hamburgers. But nobody calls them a breakfast restaurant. So you may be known for one thing, but then they expanded to salads, breakfast, donuts, coffee, all these other things, McFlurries, so forth and so on, right? But so we can be known as one thing, but I think we should expand instead of pivot. Does that make sense? Because you close the doors to other opportunities that may come to you that you may not be promoting, but other people may want, right? So let me give you a great example of this. My background is in financial services. And I was a financial advisor. I had 8 Allstate agencies. I ran 300 offices for Farmers Insurance. And even though that was what people knew me for, right? And all of my experience comes from that, I just expanded it to software. And then I expanded it to ad speaking. But if somebody wants me to come and talk about how I had 8 Allstate agencies, I'm showing up. Like, I'm going to go and tell them how they should be using the things that I know now from public speaking and running software companies and implementing that into their financial services business, right? A guy by the name of Gary Barnes, who sold his insurance agencies, brought me in last night to do a webinar at 9 p.m. Eastern, right? Because he's on Pacific time. So I did this late webinar, but it was to a bunch of insurance agents. And all of my insurance stuff, I was able to bring back up and make it a part of the conversation. So I understand pivot is a word that the startup community made famous over the last 10 years. But as speakers, we have to expand our reach instead of abandon our expertise. I think that that's a huge mistake, right? So when we don't completely change your website, add it to your website. Does that make sense?
It does. At the same time, I wasn't really totally abandoned. If someone wanted me to speak on that issue, I would embrace it and jump right in with both feet.
Yeah.
Although in this divisive environment, I thought it's better to be more of what I enjoy doing more anyway, is talking about more motivational stuff. And the book, my first book that I wrote on that subject, that book is still there. I still have over 1,000 copies. I'm not abandoning it
Oh,
totally.
yeah. Well, let me
Because
make
I
sure.
will put that book on my website, but for now, I'm trying to totally get on to this so as not to confuse someone to look at me if they're looking for a specific type of speaker, i.e. motivational.
Yep. And let me preface this also. This wasn't an attack on you, Kevin. This was just
Oh, I
saying
didn't take it.
overall, because I've heard that several times this week that I want to pivot. Here's what we know. Here's what I had to figure out. And it was a hard thing for me to address. It wasn't that my topic was wrong. It was that I was unknown. Sometimes we abandon things that people don't even know we do. Like, they don't even know you do this. Like, we ain't even told enough people to get enough rejection saying that we don't want this topic before we abandon it. And it's like, oh, well, you know, I've done 80% of the work, and then I'm going to start all the way back over and rebuild everything and do it again. And then you never get up to speed where you're doing enough for long enough, right? So this is just in general. This isn't about Kevin. This is entrepreneurship in general, right? So there's uninformed optimism, right? Meaning at the beginning, we're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is going to be great. And after uninformed optimism, there's informed pessimism. This stuff is harder than I thought it was going to be, right? So you go through this peak of, yeah, this is going to be great. And then you see this valley of, oh, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. And then instead of pushing through it, we say, well, let me go try something else. And then we get excited about it. And then we realize, oh, this is the same thing. Okay, let me try something else. So we just keep doing that. And then after 5 years, we end up not any further ahead. Now, this is general in entrepreneurship. Nobody on this call am I talking about. I'm just talking in general. Why? Because this is what, when I go back to my financial advisor experience, this is what young insurance agents do. I'm going to sell life insurance. Well, no, I'm going to sell new benefits, workplace benefits. No, I'm going to sell 401k plans. And it's like, no, dude, you just got to do the work regardless. So people would say, well, I've been a financial advisor for 5 years. No, you are a financial advisor with 6 months worth of experience, repeat it 10 times. Or you got 1 year worth of experience, you repeat it for 5 times. You've never gotten over that valley of despair in order to get into the next stage of being a financial advisor. You just kept switching companies. I was at Allstate for a year. I went to Farmers for a year. I went to Northwestern Mutual for a year. Yeah, you did 1 year at each one of those. You never made it over the hoop. So we see a lot of emerging speakers that have been emerging for 20 years. They can't get past that $3,000 fee because they keep changing and they're just not known enough. So I'm not going to beat you all over the head with it, but it is a real thing that we have to address. And part of my job is to get you on stage and to get you paid more. But the getting you paid more comes from sticking to it, regardless of what the topic is, and being known more, right? Corey, thoughts, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, this is all great because I know I've had to go through that same kind of rebranding in a sense and not giving up some of the things. And I may hurt what you say or I may help. We'll see.
Oh, no,
But
I mean,
with me,
this isn't a monologue. It's a community
yeah.
conversation. So want to
Yeah,
make
I'm
sure
just
I'm not
saying-
always right.
Yeah,
I'm just
and
giving
I
my
am,
perspective.
yes, and I am trying to support what you're saying, but I'm saying it might be slightly different. But I've had this with somebody helping me out with my speaking and coaching that when I'm doing my one sheet, I'm having kind of my main couple of topics that people can see up at the top, but then in the sidebar it says, I can also talk about X, Y, and Z, which kind of takes them off a little bit, but it's just a side piece. So if they want to see what my depth and breadth is, because I've literally been working in our family marketing agency business for 38 years now, since the late 80s. And so my dad started in 1980. I've been 38 years, so I've done all kinds of things. I've seen all kinds of things. I've talked to all kinds of businesses, everything. So it's like, how do I narrow that down? But at least I can focus on a few things and then keep that expanded, other things and expertise that I've done on the side and maybe a small sidebar. And I was talking to like a faith-based guy today who works at a Christian university or something. So most of my conversation was about the Christian aspect that I teach when it comes to leadership coaching and speaking. So that's who we were talking about there. But if I'm talking to somebody who's not in that realm, hey, I work with entrepreneurs, coaches, executives, companies that are just out there in the public space. So I appreciate what you're saying, Ron, and that helps me motivationally and to clarify, because otherwise people can't hear if we're talking about a million things.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let me ask you a question. A resume, right? We have our resumes. Everybody's made a resume, right? Is everyone's resume on one page, or do you have multiple pages as you've been working? If you had to put out a resume today, would it be a one sheet, or would it be like 3 or 4 pages?
Not 3 or 4 pages.
It would just be one page? Or would it be more? I didn't understand which one you said, Jasmine.
Maximum a page and a half, I was told.
Okay, right?
So that's more than one. So
I
I
wasn't
know.
gonna say it, but okay.
I know.
Right? So here's what I know, right? And again, I'm an outsider, so I think of things totally different, right? One thing that people ask us all the time, well, why doesn't SpeakerHub in SpeakerHub Pro, why don't we allow you to add one pages and those things? Because I hate them. I don't want to say this publicly, but I think that they're the biggest waste of time ever, right? No, that's my own opinion, because I don't believe I can be summed up on one page. And if you see something on the one page and it doesn't describe what I actually can help you with, then I missed an opportunity. So I'm a big fan of meetings. So all of our pitches are about, can I hop on a call with you, learn about what you're trying to accomplish, and then I can take everything I know about myself and give you the parts I think you need. I'm a sales guy, right? So we used to hand out business cards. No, let's set up a meeting, right? The business card expanded to a one-pager, right, for speakers. Well, you can just send them this and maybe. Dude, get the meeting. Get the meeting and then take everything that you've worked on in your life that applies and you think you can help that organizer with, position your speech around that. That's what's worked for me and my clients. Other people may have a different experience, but I just can't imagine Les Brown sending out a one-page. I can't imagine Tony Robbins sending out a one-pager. I just can't imagine him doing that. But that's who we aspire to be. We aspire to be these high-level speakers. But what we learn from talking with them is that they're like, yo, I'm trying to get the call. I want to talk to them. I'll send them a little brief thing, summarize, oh, I think I can help their event, but I want the meeting. No.
But Ron, don't you think, at least in the beginning, before they became known, or I speak about this, I'm Tony Robbins, and Les Brown, I speak about this. In the beginning, I'm pretty sure they probably had a one sheet. I don't know.
I wasn't there during their beginning, but what I can tell you with the beginning speakers I've worked with, over 6 years, we've never sent one sheet.
Okay.
And I've booked a lot of them. I hear people say, oh, in your pitch, you should say this. I send one sentence. I get more results with 2 sentences than people do with 2 paragraphs, right? So all I'm saying is I can talk about anecdotal things that may work or may not work, but I can tell you what we have the data on, which is pitching for a meeting is super duper effective, right? Being able to summarize what you do, but not letting that one page limit you. How about a media kit? If you talk about multiple things, get multiple pages in your PDF. It doesn't cost any more. Just get multiple pages so that you can show that I talk on leadership. I talk on this. I talk on that. And they can flip the page to see more of what you do. I'm just talking about the concept of one page and trying to sum up everything you do in one page.
How about using the one sheet to try to get a meeting? I don't know. I'm just soft pitching it out.
Right? Yeah, just pitch for the meeting, right? And then use that as a point of reference. Now, this comes from a person who 50% of our business is digital one sheets, which is the speaker profile. So I'm not saying that we don't think that it works. I just think that it's used as a crutch in a lot of ways that could be limiting. And when we're talking about, well, I got to pivot, I got to redo this, all of those things to me sound like I'm putting off sending the damn pitches. Kevin, you know what I'm talking about. I'm putting it off. I'm waste another year not sending the pitches that I've paid for. Because that's what we do. We find other things to do. We spend our whole lives getting ready to do nothing. We got to send the pitches. We just got to send them.
I know. I was like last night, got me up to 30.
Yeah, I mean, the results come from sending. So, Melissa, I want to get your feedback, and then we'll go to Corey, because Corey's already.
I actually had some questions about SpeakerHub and launch. Is it okay to ask those?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. So it's not clear to me on your web pages whether access for an assistant is included.
Yep.
How does that work?
Yep, you have unlimited team members. So Nicole works with her brother, Michelle, that's in here now, works for, she's a team member for Ann. Right? So yeah, I mean, team members are included.
Okay, so they have access to the software and their own logins?
Yep, they have their own login. Let me show you 1 second.
And I don't have to pay extra for them?
No. It's included.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep, I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second here.
Because there is some place on one of the web pages that I saw that indicated that team members were an additional cost, so it was unclear to me.
Yeah, but that's all included. The reason why we do that is to show that in the bundles they're there. So here you go. Watch
Okay.
this. Let me pull it up here. Someone goes to the billing or the plans, right? So this is what you get, and then you probably saw these add-ons, right? But all of the add-ons are included in the speaker launch plan that you saw for Black Friday. You get everything,
Okay.
all of our trainings, everything that we do going forward. You even get our new thing that we call Speaker QR, where you can create QR codes to get referrals. Like all of that is included. This is, if you have a lifetime account with us, you're stuck with us for life. If you don't believe me, ask Kevin, who's been with us since 2021, and he gets all the upgrades. He's been around. He's been coming to our meetings and our training since then. So yeah, it's all included. And here's how it looks. So you put your team member's name in there, get their own invite. You'll see yours says admin, but theirs will say team member, and you'll have access to be able to log in and out of their account.
Great. That's fantastic. So, because I did want to have the ability for team members to pitch on my behalf.
Yep. Here, I'll show you. PitchDB is our other company that uses the same framework of the software. So just to illustrate it, this is what it looks like. You see how I can log in as a team member, I can remove a team member. So it shows who they are. You know, all of that stuff is right here.
Okay, great.
And they have their own workspace. So let me
Okay.
give you a great example of this. When I log into Georgette's account, and this is me logging in, this is what you would be doing. When I go to branding kit, I can import your branding stuff over here so that they're not having to redo it a second time. It'll import your total branding kit that you have, and when you make an updated updates over here. But then they
Great.
also can pitch in third person. So if they're saying, hey, I'm Ron, I'm reaching out on behalf of Melissa, or they can pitch it as if it's you. Hey, this is Melissa, even though they're sending the pitches.
Great.
So we thought through all of that here. They could adjust the signatures accordingly. All of that could be imported over so that you're pitching from one accord, whether it's in third person or first person.
Okay, great. And then
Was that
another,
helpful?
that's super helpful. Yeah, thank you. And then another question I had is, I know that Speaker Launch has live calls. When are those held?
Yep. So we're doing the orientation call for the first cohort on Saturday. So I'm sending out that email today. It'll be recorded for those that can't make it to the event tomorrow. But we have a schedule where it's just like this, but it's just not everybody. Because it's private and it's for the people that are in Speaker Launch, non-SpeakerHub customers won't come to it. Because we have a certain schedule where we're going through the 6 playbooks. The inbound playbook, the outbound playbook, podcasting, small associations, conferences, and press. We're going to address those in order privately, where this is more of a random call where you can come in like you're doing now and ask anything you want. There'll be another call outside of this.
And when are those calls going to be held?
Yep, they'll be held every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Right?
And
now,
what time?
We haven't figured that part out. We're looking at the responses that we got where people were saying, I'm better on the weekends or I'm better on the weekday and at night. So we have to coordinate that. It's a bit difficult because 60% of our customers are outside of the US.
Got it.
For Leroy right now, it is 7 p.m. or 7:40 p.m. for Leroy. So if I do a 5 p.m. training for Speaker Launch, it'll be midnight in Europe where Leroy is.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand.
It's a crazy scheduling thing that we have to figure out. So we may end up having to do 2 different recordings, like Tuesdays maybe in the morning and everyone gets the recording, and Thursdays maybe in the evenings so that we can deal with both people in both Western and Eastern hemispheres. So it's a bit of a challenge, but it's something that we're working through right now.
Right. Totally got that. And the Speaker Launch, the program is 12, sorry, my cat is being annoying. is 12 months of live
Yeah, it depends on
program
which one
itself
you
is-
have. If you're in emerging, it's 3 months.
No, I'm looking at the top
Yeah.
level.
So, but just for everyone who's on, I'll explain. It's if you're in emerging, it's 3 months of working with us. If you're in experience, it's 6 months. And if you're in the expert one, it's 12 months of us helping you do all of the implementation of what we teach, right? And that's helping you develop a product, make sure your product is out, that you can make money from podcasts, make money from your association appearances and from the conferences. The issue right now is that all of the marketers are coming and becoming speakers, but a lot of the speakers are struggling to become marketers. So the fees are being pushed down by the marketers who are willing to speak for free. It's killing the keynote show up fees for those who aren't already experienced. And the speakers who only have their voice as a product, they're complaining, oh, well, nobody wants to pay. Yeah, they want to pay, but they need more value. So you have this group of entrepreneurs and marketers that are coming in, taking speaking stages. Actually, it's become a profit center for conference promoters. Because if I can save 80 grand on speakers fees over my conference, I'm going to do it if I can just get free speakers to do it who have the same talent and the same level of expertise versus paying someone that can't promote on their social media, they can't drive more ticket sales, they can't do any of that. So there's this change in the industry that nobody wants to talk about, right? Everybody complains about it, but nobody wants to talk about it. At SpeakerHub, we happen to have this vantage point of view. We get to see who's joining. A lot of marketers are coming to become speakers. If you're on Israel Duran's, I know someone's here from Israel Duran. Was that Stephen? Israel is really big on using the stage for marketing. He's not saying just expect a speaking fee. He's like, yo, sell your stuff. Right? So we're going to cover all of that to make sure that you're a well-rounded, you have a well-rounded speaking business. I'm a firm believer that only 30% of your 30% of your business revenue as a speaker should come from you being on stage. The other 70% should come from consulting, courses, or other trainings that you sell. If you look at someone like Stephen Covey with 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he died in July of 2012. Yet his speaking business, his son is putting out books, carrying on that intellectual property legacy because he built a strong foundation of the business, and his speaking was just to promote the products and the courses and the trainings that they do inside of the business. Tony Robbins is the same way, right? They still have mastermind.com and all these other things that they're doing, but his speaking supports driving people to that, right? So that's what we're trying to build with Speaker Launch. If you just want to learn how to write a speech, you're in the wrong place. You want to learn how to build a sustainable speaking business, welcome home. I mean, that's the only way I know how to say it, because that's what we're really focused on, right?
So I have another question about the software.
Yep.
And I mean, that's actually, I'm a consultant and a facilitator and an experience designer. And I want to bring in more speaking in order to build, to bring in more of that other business.
Yep.
So I have the free trial right now, but I don't have access to any of the conferences. And I just want to see, like, I have no idea if your software actually can give me access to the kind of conferences that are going to be relevant to me. So that's a hesitation point for me.
Yep.
Is, I'm a little bit, because the software feels like the biggest value for me, because I've done a lot of work on business building and feel pretty confident in that area. But the software feels like a huge value if it's actually going to give me the podcasts already feel really helpful. I've gotten in there and dug around and pitched some podcasts. I've done a lot of podcast pitching myself before, but it's just so time consuming, and you've done such a beautiful job of cutting the time on that. So I really applaud you on the software you've built, or how you've put that together.
So let me show you for a second here, right? So when what Melissa is mentioning is when she got the trial from NSA, it was just a free trial without having to put in a credit card or any of that, right? So at that time, because they weren't committed on the payment side, she wasn't able to select a plan that had conferences in it. Right now, anyone who goes and sign up now, you can pick a trial with the conferences. You just got to put in your credit card for the 7-day trial, right? So let me address what she's asking about. So when we come here, let me get out of here because I'm in the wrong. This is PitchDB, right? All right. So here in SpeakerHub Pro, what types of conferences would you want to speak at, Melissa?
Tech conferences, innovation conferences, creativity conferences.
Right. So if I just type in tech, we have 709 of them. If I talk in innovation, we got a gang of things that are just on innovation, right? Altogether, we have 45,000 conferences. Here's what we always believe. We know for a fact that there's only 3 speeches that have ever been given in the history of public speaking. You can teach someone how to become a better leader. You can teach them how to improve a skill, or you can teach them how to make or save money. Every speech in the history of mankind fits into one of those 3 categories, which means you can go speak at any conference in reality. That's why I'm not a big proponent of someone saying, I niche here and I'm cutting this off. No, you're missing opportunities. I only work with Black women. So you're telling me if a Black man learned how to do laughing yoga, he couldn't do it? Yeah, he could. Well, cool. You teach laughing yoga. You don't teach laughing yoga to Black women that have pink fingernails. Open up the opportunities because that's what you're missing. We've niched ourselves into a corner where we have an excuse for not pitching, right? So we have innovation, we have women, we have singing. I know Steven said, I sing. Cute, cool. We type in sing, it brings 5 conferences about singing. You know, we can broaden that out to music. Right? We can broaden that out to creativity, right? As I keep going, we can broaden that out to arts. Like we can keep making this wider and wider. But my thing is, why start here when you can just go wide at the beginning and just get in front of more people? Because we don't have a problem with being liked and trusted. We have a problem with being known, right? So I'm just saying, be known broadly, and then people can put you in the box that they need you to for the role that they want you to play. Is that fair? So I don't know if this shows our range of conferences sufficiently, Melissa, but we have
Can you just click on the
45,000.
filters? I'm curious what the filters are.
Yeah, the filters are going to just limit it by country.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So it's very similar to Google. You can type in, if I wanted to see Spain, conferences that are in Spain, I can just type in Spain and it's going to bring those up. Right. So the search is the most powerful tool, which is why we hide the filters. Right. We have one client who just played with the filters all day. And I'm like, did you ever search? Well, I was just kind of looking. No. We're going to kill these filters. Search. So we're like minimal driving you to action. So the filters are there, but we want to limit them because we need you pitching.
Got it. Can
Right.
you, Kevin asked, what are the 3 things that you said again? Be a better
Yep.
leader, make
Yep.
a sale, and
Yep. So you can teach people how to be a better leader. And we have all these frameworks we'll share with you. Teach someone how to be a better leader, how to improve a skill, or make or save money. Those are the only 3 speeches. Most of you all speeches fit in 2 of those categories. Most of them fit in 2 categories. I've never been to a conference and like, no, we don't want people to be better leaders when they leave here. No, we don't want anyone to improve any skills, especially not laughing skills and feeling better. You can teach that at any conference, right? You can teach your creativity, Melissa, at any conference. Every business uses tech. Every human being is using tech. So you can go speak on innovation in tech anywhere. But if you don't believe it, why should they? So our jobs as speakers is not to look for conferences that fit us. It's to look for people that we want to impact. I should be able to take my message and screw it into any conference. So, Ron, you said you did financial services, blah, blah, blah. How would you go speak at a women in tech conference? They don't want to learn about retirement. Nope, but they do want to make sales. I sold air for 12 years because that's all insurance is. That's all that the stock market is. They don't mail it to your house. It is a promise. Does that make sense? So that's what our foundation is built on here. It's about outbound pitching, but you being a great salesperson and learning to adjust your topic to be an accelerator of the message of the person that's hiring you, not to be an innovator. They don't care about your innovation until they understand that it can push the message or the mission of their event. Is this fair, guys? Really quickly, Michelle, I'm sorry about that. I know you had a question. Were you able to get it addressed?
Yeah, but some other people might want to, I don't know if they've heard the answer, so they might want to hear it as well.
Okay.
So I submitted a request on behalf of Anne to a podcast, and then our other team member also submitted the same podcast. So is there, on the team member's account, can you see which podcasts have already been pitched to?
Yep. So that's something that's coming out in a very soon release that we're working on, is where you can see, we have transparent lists, right? So that's the one thing. We don't have that right now because we didn't think about it until about maybe 3 weeks ago when Lethea brought it up. But adding a transparent list is what we're looking at. Here's what we suggest as a workaround. Pick a topic and divide it up via topics. That way you all don't overlap. Or someone pitches conferences, the other one pitches podcasts or associations. That's the only workaround we have right now.
Okay.
But we're working on list transparency right now. We just haven't found an efficient way to do it. It's one thing that Miguel is working on that's been kind of a headache.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Michelle had another question. Michelle, will you ask about, the other question was the leaderboard, the 2 people on their team on the leaderboard for Anne, but they're separate.
Yeah,
All they did go to
that's
the
another
admin
part
account.
of it, where the leaderboard should only show the admin. That's in a future release also. Right now it shows team members also, but it will only show admins going forward. So if you're on Anne's team, all of you all's pitches will be aggregated together to only show under Anne's account. That's another thing that we're working on combining.
Right. Do you want me to gather all those around and send it to Miguel so that we have
Miguel
that
already
accurate?
has those. Those are things that are already in the workflow for the dev team.
I'm sorry, I mean for this week for Anne's team, to make sure they're all added on the leaderboard. Don't worry about it.
I wouldn't worry about it right now. It's not a big deal. We'll get that figured out. And the ambassadors have unlimited credits anyway, so it don't matter.
True, good point. Okay.
So, Stephen, question? Melissa, did that address your question? Okay, perfect. Stephen.
Not so much a question, but maybe an observation. Someone that I've been just watching and so bedazzled by, back to what you were saying about having a menu and not being stuck on just one thing that you do. I was going to say, well, could you talk about Snoop Dogg?
Yeah, yeah. From a cooking show to selling. From juice and wine. Yeah.
If you would just say a few things, because I've been watching him going.
Yeah, I mean, we would have never imagined Snoop Dogg being the most watched host of the Olympics. That was Bob Costas' job. And the most viewed hosting of the Olympics this summer was Snoop Dogg's segments. Why? Because he was more human than robotic Bob Costas, right? So I think that all of us are multifaceted. And imagine a diamond if you only could see one facet on it. It only shines when you move it around and all the other facets catch light. So let's not turn ourselves into carbon cubes. Be a diamond. Show all the facets that you have, because that's what makes you brilliant. right? Now, should you focus on a few things when you're pitching someone? Yes, but keep it open because you're bigger than what you're giving yourself credit for, and you just don't know what might pick up and be your thing.
So
Right.
what do you see? What do you see Snoop Dogg doing right in terms of this speaker business?
Saying yes. Opportunities come, he says, yep. 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 That's what I found. They say yes.
He's got Martha. He's on a Martha Stewart cooking show. He's
Yeah.
got a beverage there.
There's a great meme of Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart on a picture together. And it says, one of the people in this video is a felon. And it was Martha Stewart. It wasn't Snoop. Right?
No, he
But
just launched
society
an
would tell
on,
us it was Snoop, right?
he just launched a online cannabis business.
Yep. And he has wine and he has a gang of stuff.
The
He has
kids show,
look,
yeah.
wait a minute. Well, let me tell you something. My daughter in Colombia watches Doggy Tales, Snoop Dogg kids cartoon. Where Snoop Dogg is a cartoon competing with Barney and everybody else and Dora the Explorer. Now they got Snoop Dogg, Bow Wow Wow.
He said he did that for his he got grandchildren. He did it for them and turned into a business.
There it is. So yeah, no, I agree. Jasmine, what were you gonna say?
Ron.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to ask a question before I forgot. I had 3 responses last night. Uh, one is
clap that one up.
One is an invite. The invite says they're inviting me as a paid sponsor. So they send me all this information. So in other words, they want me to sponsor the podcast.
Just say no if you don't want to do it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to look at it, right? I did respond to them saying, thank for the opportunity. I'll look at it to see how I can facilitate that. And one of them said, they'll be back on December 9th. Would love to speak to me. And another one said they're going to have a member of their team speak to me further on how we can work together.
Yep. So how this
the paid
works
one,
is that,
what do I do?
So for which one?
The paid one, I look through it to see what it's before I make a decision.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm a firm believer that at the beginning, don't pay for anything. Just pitch other ones and get on the other free ones. There's enough free ones out there. Why pay? Now, unless it's a big opportunity, but most of the time it's not. Yeah. So all I'm saying is there's enough free ones to focus on the free ones. Just ignore that one, put it on the shelf. If it's paid, it'll be there. You can get on that one anytime you want.
Yes.
So don't even worry about that. Get on more free.
It's a radio show. It's a radio show speaking on health and wellness. So
yeah, but I mean,
I know.
Go on the other ones, right?
Okay.
Just keep it simple. Go on the ones that don't require you to make another investment.
Okay.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, just keep pitching. Like the key is get out there more, pitch more. You're going to be surprised at how many people will reply to you, and then you can just go. This guy invited me on this. This is so funny. Liliana pitched me to this podcast, and when I get on there, this guy has a Confederate flag in the back, and he had his cowboy hat on, and he's trying to bait me into arguing with him about Donald Trump and all this other stuff and racism in America. And everything he said, I say, man, I can see that perspective, and then I would argue with him. He was hot because I just wouldn't take the bait to fight with him. Right? He never put the podcast out. He was like, I'm not putting this out. I'm like, yeah, you're not about to have me come on here and embarrass. Like, I don't even care about this stuff you're talking about. Right? But he wanted to fight. And I just didn't give it to him. So what happens is with most speaking gigs and podcasts, there will be a preliminary interview. Right? So they're not going to just say, yeah, come on tomorrow. No, they're going to say, hey, we're going to meet with you. We want to make sure we're talking about the same things. And we want to make sure we're talking about the same things on the same topics and making sure we're addressing the things that need to be addressed. Does that make sense? So don't be surprised if everyone invites you to a meeting at the beginning. That's just the process of how this works. Got it?
Ron.
Cool. Yep.
Ron has a few questions.
Say Ron, this is my twin. It's Ron and say Ron.
It's rhyme for a reason. Thank you, Ron, Angela. Hi, everyone. Very glad to be here. Very quick. If Ron, you go to if you just share the screen, and if you go to the podcast, and if you can have like the screen share with all of us.
Yep.
If you go to the podcast search, there is two options of searches. So there is one. You see.
Podcast.
Yes. So filter. Click filter. When you okay, now you see there is two search. So search for podcast, and there's another search box. If you drop down that one, the
Genres?
genres, yeah. So these are, I don't know if you guys are working on expand those, because I tend to use them and the result is not exactly what they are talking about. Like if you like, there is no many option here. So what I do, I go to the search for podcast, which is more specific, like you say, women after 50, or leadership coach, or singing, or art, or whatever. So I don't know if that genres,
So genres are selected by the podcaster. So when you go inside of iTunes or Spotify,
yeah.
when you post your podcast, they ask what genre do you want to be in. So
Okay.
we're not the people who pick that. These are the
Oh.
genres that are selected by the
Oh.
podcaster when they register their podcast on
Oh.
iTunes or Spotify or
Okay.
something like that.
I
So
built-
that's
okay.
what that is there for. The search bar is to override that and
Okay.
to say, I don't care what genre they're in, I just want Black women podcasts, because
Right.
Black women isn't a genre, or Black men barbers, right? So
Right.
like I can type in the Black barber podcast,
Right.
and it's going to bring up, it may find some podcasts that are trims and talk. You see that? That
Right.
would never be because you would have an infinite list of genres if we expanded those. So this is done by Apple or
Okay.
iTunes or whatever. Override that by just searching in the podcast box.
Okay. And the one, like when you have the profile and the one on the right side on orange, see food. Yeah, these are also like recommended according to your
They're based on your last pitches, whatever topics or things that your last pitches were based on. So our system is looking at what your pitch history is, what you've been adding to the list, and then we just start making adjacent recommendations.
okay.
They're not the exact recommendations. They're like, oh, Ron, but now mine looks goofy. Why? Because I use my account for demos, and I got different people. I keep changing the
Right.
profile and searching for different things for different people. So
Right.
mine will not be exactly. You're
Like
like, well,
everybody.
Ron does speaking. Why does his say food? Well, I do 15 meetings a day where I'm loading different people's searches in and adding different things.
Right. So, and also when I pitch free conferences or association or podcast, if it's invalid email, that's going to go to the recycle, but nobody else will kick that tab, right? Because it's going to go away because it's dead anyway.
Yep.
email
When it's invalid, it gets taken out of the search
taken
results
out
for
of the-
everybody.
Great. Okay. Okay. Is there any way in future? I don't know if it's possible. I come across some podcasts. It's look like I look them up in LinkedIn. They are like big deal entrepreneur, and then they asked me to pay them $500 to show up for 20 minutes. I was not sure if I will be with George Clooney on the podcast or like Elon Musk, but I said no because, like you said, take the free one and keep going. So, is there any way the platform system will filter the one with fee association? With the
No,
one with
because I mean, in order to do that, we would have to call 3.1 million podcasters and ask them if they have a fee.
They don't put it on the description. They don't put it in their
No. I mean, we're just going to their webpage and getting the contact information.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
So, I mean, we're just not willing to, like, even with conferences,
Yeah.
people say, do you have paid or just free? I believe every conference is paid if you're a great speaker and you know how to get paid. So it's up to you to negotiate that.
Yeah.
But we're not going to call 45,000 conferences to say what's your fee for this year. It's just not in our best interest, and it's not in their best interest to tell us.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is that speakers will only pitch the high-paying conferences that they're not qualified to even speak at. It's just a human bias that we watched. That's why we have the data on listenership, and we don't post it because everybody just wanted to pitch Joe Rogan and the high viewer podcast, even though they had never spoken in a room with more than 50 people, but they're complaining about a podcast that only had 300 listeners.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, that podcast had more downloads than your largest audience. And I'm not talking to you, I'm talking about in general.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like we got to remove some of the bias and the arrogance
yeah,
that's invaded the speaking industry. I only want to do this. Cool, but you're doing nothing right now.
yeah.
So how about just do something and get out there more?
Yeah, yeah. And I think I mentioned this to you, and this is for the sake of the people who are in this call, because I'm pitching in Middle East. I'm speaking Arabic with some people who speak Arabic. They live in the United States. Although that I'm not continuing business with them, but they are opening other door for me. So sometimes even if you come across someone in association or even let's say conferences and they are not giving you the opportunity, I have many of them be nice saying, oh, maybe this is not a good match for me, but how about if I introduce you to so and so and so? And it's amazing because like I said, when I was pitching, I put the language on the conference, I put Arabic. And the guy called me from California. I said, I thought your name is Sami Arabic. He said, yeah, I am from Lebanon, but my business in California. So you never know what you come across. Some people, they open up other door for you, which is amazing.
No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. The pitching isn't just about getting booked on a podcast or a speaking gig. It's really about relationships, right? We're in the relationship business. You know, if you go and you do a good job for someone once, they will bring you back. Speakers Magazine, I probably do something with them every 3 months. Why? Because when I go on there, I kill it, right? You know, NSA, with the NSA event, I think I have a every 2-month webinar with them to teach NSA, right? So these are things that if we just work on the relationships and doing what we need to do, you'll be fine. But everybody wants to be picked to sing and dance. No, look, I don't want to dance for you. I want to dance with you, right? I want a partner in this business. I want someone that's going to dance. I can dance with them all the time, and it's going to be great. I want them to bring me back for 10 years. One of our presenters at the Pro Speaker Summit, his name is Stan Pearson. He talked about how an association in Virginia has booked him 10 consecutive years, right? And it's a paid gig, 10 consecutive years, and the fee goes up every year. But he talked about how it's just about the relationship and delivering when he goes. So there's nothing wrong with getting better, guys. I want to say that. There's nothing wrong with getting better. LeBron James, imagine when he was 8 years old, if he said, you know what? I know I'm going to the NBA someday. That's my goal. I ain't going to play basketball no more unless y'all pay me. He wouldn't be LeBron James. You know how many free basketball games he played in high school and before high school to get better and to develop his skill? Speaking and talking are not the same thing. We've been talking all of our lives. Most of us haven't been speaking all of our lives. Two different skill sets. Make sense? I can talk Spanish. I can't speak Spanish. My Spanish is terrible, right? My 2-year-old corrects me. She's like, dude, that ain't right. Cool. She's a better native talker in Spanish. She's not a speaker either, right? So we got to develop the speaking skill. Speaking is the ability to use your words to control the emotions and the actions of those who are listening. Most of us can give people the logical information, but we can't control the emotions of the crowd. We talk too fast. We talk too slow. We don't know the undulations of actually speaking. And we can't control the actions of the crowd. They listen to us, but they don't do what we say. When Cicero spoke, men marveled. When Caesar spoke, men marched. Our jobs as speakers is to be a little bit of Cicero and a lot of Caesar. Right? You know, I got to get you wild, but get you to take action to make yourself better, because that's the only reason why we're up there. Jasmine is up there to make people better on a wellness point of view. So if she gets up there and she gives all the data, but they don't go and change the way that they eat or start doing something different, she wasted her time. Speakers will do both. Talkers will recite data. OpenAI has created ChatGPT that could just give us the data and the information, but it won't move us to action. Does that make sense? My job as a life insurance salesman was to get families to write their last love letter to their loved ones. That don't sound like life insurance. But you want to talk about what's the last check. If you had to write a check to your wife and it was the last amount of money that you would leave to your kids, what would that number be? It's always higher than the amount of life insurance that they own. But I had to be able to communicate that to get them to feel the emotion. Here's one of our examples really quickly. We used to say, it would be a husband and a wife in the room. And I said, I take out a gun, boom, I just killed dad. Mom, what do you want? Or what do you need? And she walks through this whole list. I need to be able to send the kids here. I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to do this. And dad will, well, no, we don't. Hey, dad, you're dead. This is what mom wants. You're dead. Mom's going to be the one dealing with the kids and needing all of this extra support. Who cares? You're dead, dad. And then we turn it around and we kill mom. And then dad gets to say, now all of a sudden dad wants all this stuff. Before, we don't need no life insurance, we'll be fine. But now that he sees what mom's getting, he's like, well, I need that too. Right? But I had to be able to communicate with both of them to get them to see a different perspective. That's our jobs as speakers. Life and death is in the power of our tongues.
Amen.
Some little girl needs to hear what Melissa has to say. Some little boy needs to laugh. Some older person needs to laugh. Do you see what I mean? But if we don't use our tongues to give them the life that they need, death is certain. That's all I'm saying. So I respect what Michelle does every day. She doesn't come on. She don't say anything. She just pitches. High five to Michelle. Sometimes you have to succeed in spite of yourself. This is Anne's mechanism to succeeding in spite of herself. Anne is really busy. So she said, I know I can't pitch because I got all this other stuff to do. I'm going to succeed in spite of myself. I'm going to have someone else pitch for me. That's what we're here for, guys. That's what this is about on a daily basis, saving the lives of the people who are going to be in your audience. And if you don't believe it, oh well. I'm never going to stop talking about it. Right? Because that's really why we're here. The money is cool, but dude, I do this for free. Why? Because I believe in the mission on the other side. And I can't tell y'all that you should be taking free speaking gigs if every time I'm saying, pay me to come talk to me. I do free speaking gigs every day for an hour. When the people invite me to come live, they don't pay me. I don't ask for it. Donate it to charity, I'll show up. If I really believe in my mission, the mission comes first. The money will find me. That's why Melissa's here. Melissa is here from a stage that I paid for. I bought that stage. So I don't want to hear that they ain't paying enough. You're going to lose to me or people like me that are in your industry. Right? Stephen is here from a stage that I paid for. Israel didn't let me on there for free. So I hear you, but just don't get outworked by other people who believe in their mission more than you do. All right, that's my TED Talk. Kimberly, good to see you
From
guys.
Bamba. Bamba has a question.
Bamba, I got your lead request, so you'll get that.
Great. That was the question.
Oh, yeah, I got it. I got this lead request. So, guys, I have a 1:15. I wish I could stay longer, but we got to believe. We got to believe in ourselves first, so that other believes us when we get on the stage. So, Stephen, I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Melissa, look forward to having you on the other side of Speaker Launch. We are ready to help you guys launch your careers to the levels that you want to be at. Some of you all are already launched, but you're not where you want to be. We're going to remove all of those roadblocks from there. You know, yeah. That's it. I don't know what else to say. I got my other meetings started.
We're here every day.
I'll see you all tomorrow. Well, no.
Have a great weekend. Monday.
Saturday. See you all Monday. Monday at 12. We'll still be here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Esther, how's it going?